Good morning, everybody. It's exactly 11 a.m. So welcome to our Palo Alto Traps webinar from SecureLink. And I see we have a lot of participants. So I would like to welcome you. Unfortunately, this is one way, so I cannot hear you. But good morning to everyone. As mentioned before, this webinar is going to be in English because we have some international participants and co-hosts present. So that's why it's in English. I hope it's no problem for anybody. Let's take this away with a short introduction, if my slides work. Sorry about that. There is some issue when it comes to my slides. Just a sec. All right, just a second, everybody. I'll try to fix my PowerPoint. All right, here we are again. Let me introduce myself and my co-host. I'm security consultant at SecureLink, which is actually a pre-sales consultant role, and my co-host will be Diğdem. He will be our security engineer and will be doing the technical stuff. So the demo, which will follow later on. Let's start this off with why would I need endpoint protection at all? Well, to answer that question, there are a few reasons we have to take into consideration, and I would like to mention those briefly. Reason number one, mobility. For most companies, and including our own, people don't work in the office mainly anymore. So people are allowed to work from home or somewhere else, and no longer needed to come in the office, so are no longer protected by the next-gen firewall, which is situated at the perimeter of the network. So mobility is one reason which changes the risk profile. Reason number two is encryption. As most of us know, most traffic from and towards the internet is encrypted nowadays. So unless you decrypt all traffic, which is hardly possible with the next-gen firewall, there's no complete visibility over all traffic. So, which means that some encrypted traffic, or most encrypted traffic, is terminated at the endpoint, which leaves endpoint security more important than ever. Reason number three, cybercrime continues to evolve. So in a modern world, threats aren't just file-based anymore. Cyber criminals will keep looking for new ways to make money, hence becoming smarter to do so. For example, fileless attacks like memory-only or script-based malware and tools are quite common nowadays, as is embedding malicious code in benign files. Living off the land is quite a popular word nowadays. These attacks are usually performed by stealthy attackers misusing legitimate existing applications that are already installed on the victim's machine. Backups turn out to be a very lucrative target for cybercriminals, since many organizations, even the security conscious ones, don't apply the same security controls on their backup environment as they do on their data center resources, in spite of the fact that backups most likely contain valuable information. And last but not least, Combining attack tools, scripts, and information sharing tools, cybercriminals automate their attacks more and more, expanding their reach exponentially. Okay, I get that, but isn't my current AV solution good enough? Good question. Let's talk about the flaws of traditional AV. And most of you will probably know this, but I think it's important to look into this stuff as much as possible, because we all need to know where security solutions can become better. So traditional AV, it's important to have found malware detected in the wild before a signature can be written for that specific piece of malware. Now, signature is of course shared with the database which resides on the endpoint, and the AV software scans the endpoint on that specific piece of malware. Of course, there is some flaws in this approach. It's a malware-centric approach. It's just a point-in-time identification. So when malware is modified or evolved into a new piece of malware, the signature is worthless. It's a delayed protection because between detection of the malware and having a signature, there's always some time in between. Poor system performance. I think most of you guys know that when performing an AV scan of your endpoint, you will notice some performance degradation, and the effectiveness rate is mostly quite low. We believe that the correct approach and the only approach should consist of three things. And one is great prevention, to stop everything you can. Next is AI and machine learning. And AI and machine learning is, we believe, the only way to go to do real prevention, to be able to detect sophisticated attacks. And automated investigation, so the EDR part of endpoint security. So how does that work in regarding to traps, of course? Well, let's start with the malware and ransomware stuff. Using Wildfire, and for those of you who do not know Wildfire, Wildfire is the threat intelligence database and sandbox techniques from Palo Alto Networks, which reside in Palo Alto Cloud, of course, and every Palo Alto firewall customer and Traps customer, you make use of the Wildfire resources. So what Traps does is, when executing a file or code, immediately a hash is checked in the Wildfire threat intelligence database, whether it's seen before and whether it's a benign or known to be malicious. So when it's not known, a local machine learning model, which resides in the Traps endpoint security solution, will determine whether will predict whether the file or code is malicious or not. This machine learning model is trained by Wildfire information and resides on a local machine. So if you don't have an online connection with your endpoint, you still have make use of the machine learning model. And third, last but not least, it will do some behavioral threat protection as well. So what Traps will do, the Traps will monitor the processes on an endpoint and determine whether processes are legitimate or not. So and can kill a process if needed. Now, how does this work? I already mentioned this. There will be a lookup in the Wildfire threat intelligence database. The machine learning model will provide protection against unknown new malware. Behavioral threat protection will be preventing you from advanced malware, and Wildfire sandboxing techniques will do the detection for you for unknown malware. So this is a multi-stage attack prevention mechanism against malware. Now then there's the exploit and fileless threat protection. So these techniques are responsible for reconnaissance activity blocking, zero-day exploit blocking, and script and memory-based attacks. So this is something that which mainly happens in memory of the endpoint, and it works by focusing on technique. Palo Alto discovered that most exploit attacks are mainly consist of a few exploit techniques, and there are just like 20 techniques that can be used. So what Traps does, it injects itself into the process and monitors what technique is being used so that it can kill and block the technique before it can do any damage. Furthermore, Traps coordinates enforcement and accelerates response by doing detection and response. This is something that is quite new in Palo Alto Traps, and probably some of you will not know this, but Palo Alto has evolved in the last few years from detection and prevention and added detection and response within the last release. So Traps 6.0 does come with detection and response capabilities when using Cortex XDR. And Cortex XDR will be, I will talk about Cortex XDR in a few slides as well, but please note that EDR is now included in Palo Alto Traps. And what provides EDR, of course, provides event visibility, some correlation of events, and some automated response capabilities. Now, I already mentioned Cortex XDR as being a new solution from Palo Alto Networks, which when you use the newest version of Palo Alto Traps, you can make use of Cortex XDR. And what Cortex XDR does is record events from the endpoint, and this list is not exhaustive, but there are a few data entries mentioned here on this slide, which are collected and sent to the Cortex data lake. Now, it doesn't do just only recording, but it also has an artificial intelligence machine learning algorithm which is used to correlate events and determine whether malicious activity is happening or about to happen or has happened in the past. So, which gives you the possibility to do some automated response actions as well. Now, here you can find some examples. Again, these are not exhaustive, but a few examples of what information the agent collects and how Cortex XDR uses it. So when we talk about process creation termination events, for example, this is used to gain insight in the full attack and casualty chain of the attack lifecycle. And remote threat creation, for example, will be used to visualize injection attempts. Not only which provides you as a customer with the possibility to do some smart threat hunting, but also rely on some options to, again, do some automated incident response. When talking about those incident response actions, now when we find some examples on this one, so the agent will enable isolating an endpoint, so restrict the endpoint from performing actions that increase the attack impact. So when I say isolating an endpoint, it's like breaking the network connectivity of an endpoint. So lateral movement is being blocked from happening. But of course, removing a file, terminating a process, or modifying a policy are some automated incident response actions that can be achieved by using and deploying Cortex XDR as an additional solution to Palo Alto Traps. Now, what makes Cortex XDR unique, where most endpoint security solutions focus on detection and response on the endpoint, Cortex XDR is able to also ingest logs from the Palo Alto firewall, the hardware series and the VM series, but also from the Global Protect cloud services. So what you're able to do if you're a Palo Alto customer and make use of several solutions, so the firewalls and or traps and or Global Protect cloud services, you are able to correlate data from the network endpoint and cloud and make sure that you have full visibility, end-to-end visibility, which is unique. No other vendor has this. So please bear in mind that Cortex XDR is more than EDR, hence the word XDR instead of EDR. Long story short, Palo Alto Traps will help you with effectiveness. So these are real numbers you can achieve when deploying Palo Alto Traps. Low false positive rates, 99% plus effectiveness, and protection against the newest and most advanced persistent threats. Simplicity. Simplicity is something we are quite fond of nowadays. It should be easy to use, easy to deploy, easy to create policies. So this is something that is important. You don't have, not many organizations have full-time people who are managing the endpoint security solutions. So it has to be easy. Traps is with an easy to use management interface. Now, it replaces traditional AV, of course, and there are integration options with other security solutions for Palo Alto Networks, but also third-party solutions like network access control solutions. Performance, it's a lightweight agent. There is no signature database, so which will lead to less resources needed in environments, especially in VDI environments. That is handy, so you can actually have more endpoints on one server, VDI server. Now, detect and respond capabilities. With Cortex XDR, Traps has detect and respond capabilities where it didn't have before, but now it does. So you can actually do some root cause analysis, smart threat hunting, and rely on automated incident response actions. So if you don't have a security operations center, you can actually rely on automated incident response actions, so achieving a higher security posture as well. And last but not least, we are a Palo Alto authorized training center. So we do offer official Palo Alto Traps trainings in our Secure Academy. Here you can find some upcoming trainings that we provide. So please be aware that there are openings left for the Traps install, configure, and manage training on June 17th and 18th. So if you're interested, please let me or my colleague Diğdem know. And we would like to hear that from you. So this was the end of my presentation, and Diğdem will be doing a technical demo. So thank you for your attention, and I'll one more thing, if you have any questions, because I did not receive any yet, but please use the Q&A section in this webinar option. Diğdem, take it away.
Hi, this is Diğdem from SecureLink. I'm security engineer. I do Traps implementations on customer side, and today we will test Traps and actually see why endpoint security solutions, advanced endpoint security solutions, are important to have, and what is the difference between a traditional antivirus solution is an approach to an exploit attempt and traps. Here you see that I have 3 machines, and well, I named them in a very clear way, well, as clear as I could, uh, to actually show why they are made for. This is the attacker machine, the Kali Linux machine. We will start the attack from this machine, and actually it's going to be an exploit attempt, and if we succeed, we will run a malware on the remote machine. Well, if we cannot, it will be stopped. This machine has is Windows 10. It's up to date. It has Windows Defender. I will show you that it has the same um, version of Firefox, and the Defender is up to date, and the firewall is on this machine. This is an this is actually my Exchange server. It's server 2012. Um, the version of the operating system doesn't really matter, but I just created a variety on the systems, to be honest. We can also well, install traps on this machine, the machine with Defender, and do the same test, and it's not going to make any difference. Also, this machine is the firewall is on. The firewall is on. It doesn't make a difference because this is an endpoint security solution. I mean, there will be times that you're offline. You will not be connected to your network firewall. Um, well, or yeah, the the network security will not be checking what's going on. This is an endpoint security solution and demo. So I'm just mentioning that Windows Firewall is on just to tell you that there is no difference, and that part of the security is done, but it doesn't make a difference for the attack, for exploitation. I will go one by one through these machines, obviously, during the test, but just to talk briefly about the machines. Here, from my machine, I logged into TMS. Traps Cloud solution. We don't have ESM anymore. Well, we do have ESM, but well, on a couple of months ago, it is announced that there will be no features, additional features developed on the on-premise solution. So we are trying to migrate our existing customers to cloud, and we are trying to actually focus on the cloud version. That's why I said, well, ESM is not there anymore. It is there. It is still supported, the last 2 major versions, but um, we are today focusing on the cloud version. Here, the machine that has traps is X traps. You can see that it is active, it's online. You can see the version, it is server 2012, like I said, and this is the agent version, the most up-to-date version for traps. When we go to the policy rules, we see that this machine has the default policy. Well, any machine that has traps right now has default policy by default, but I wanted to create this because later on I'm gonna disable only exploit module and make a further test on this machine, the machine with traps. That's why I created this initially. Okay, let's start. We'll come to this attacker machine. We have a RC file that we created. You can also just whatever in this file, you can enter all these manually. I'm using a Firefox kind of type of exploit. It's not today's subject, today's topic, so I'm not going to focus on what exploit is, how to create exploit on a Kali machine and stuff like that. And to make it quicker, I created this RC file. I'm going to trigger the RC file, and we will see what comes next. started the terminal from this folder. That's why it sees the RC file and it actually starts. Now it's reading the file. So this is going to listen the connections back to this machine. It gives the host IP itself. So when I come to my victim machines, I have actually I created a batch file here. That creates actually that goes to a script and it sends email from in this case twitter.com. We will see what the email has, but yeah, this is just a fake mail. I wanted to trigger through a batch file, and then yeah, it will also uh, be part of this test. When I go here, I see this email. This is the email that is sent to this batch file, to the script. It is a typical email we get from Google, Twitter, Facebook, right? It tells you, okay, there is a login attempt. There was a login attempt from a new device, from a mobile device. It can be anything. And it gives you a link to login and make sure of the credentials, right? And check who logged in or not. This is the type of email. Um, when I come here and I open the Firefox, this is the exploit again. Exploit is about Firefox. This is why we do the test through Firefox. Firefox version is 11. I know that there is more up-to-date version, but for most of the companies, updating softwares is not a daily basis activity. They postpone it. They don't really do it that often. It's for the softwares, it's for the operating systems, right? And exploits are all about the systems that are not patched, that are not up to date. So this is the other machine. We logged in and we see the email. Yeah, and the exploit attempt started from the attacker machine. Once there is a connection attempt from one of these machines, we will see some difference. I'm going to start with the one with the Windows Defender. I want to show again that Windows Defender, Windows security part is all green, it's up to date. There is nothing wrong on the antivirus solution of this machine. I click on the link. Okay, I want to allow it because I want to go to the page, right? And it tells you, okay, you're going to install the add-on, but it's up to you. Okay, for me, you, for us, for security people, maybe this is suspicious and we think twice, but not for all end users. There are many people that are not really aware of this whole risk, and they're like, okay, I just want to go to the website and log into my account and solve this problem. Then they will install. What happens here? We see some activity, right? It says, well, we are waiting for user to click accept to install, right? And yeah, it says session 1 opened. Okay, I'm gonna ask it, like, what are the sessions? We have 1 sessions. Okay, what do? I want to make sure I'm on the target machine. I go there. Just to make sure this is WinTest 10, right? It is this machine. This is the user I logged in. 85 is the IP. And Sorry, I need to first connect to the session. Then, yeah, now I'm on the victim machine. And now I can just go and create a shell and start a notepad maybe. This is again the same Defender machine, right? And we have notepad. It actually shows us we are in the remote system. Okay, this means that we actually exploited this machine. What can we do next? Well, I can upload a malware executable. Well, I can steal data, I can steal privileges. It is up to me. But once you can connect this channel, once you are there, it's as an attacker, it's up to you. So this is the exploitation test on a machine without traps. Let's do the same test with this machine. It's the same, right? We logged in to our Outlook account. We see an email. We want to go to the link. By the way, I want to come back and temporarily I want to just disconnect from the session. Okay. Okay, it asks you to install. All right. I'm going to say allow. And it gives you the same page. I want to install now. Okay, we can immediately come back and see that, oh yeah, well, there are some activity again. It says session 2 is there. I want to connect to this session ID 2. Oh, there is a malicious activity. Without this, you cannot really play with anything about Firefox. You need to either close the alert or there's no other way. What does it say? Well, it says, well, there is a DLL security prevention for Firefox. I say, okay, it terminates the process. What happens here? It says, well, session closed. It died. We are not there. Okay. What do I see on TMS? Security events. Um, we see an event here. Let's click on it and see the details. Yes, the DLL-sec is a memory corruption. Well, this wasn't a memory corruption exploit actually. DLL-sec is the module that is preventing it on trap side. It is stopped by exploit profile. It is blocked for the system, the remote system. We can see the details. This is the content version. It's up to date again. And yeah, you can see the details about the user, about the processes. Okay, so this is a medium severity alert. Um, and that's how we see it on TMS. Okay, so we can tell, right? We can say that, yeah, okay. When we try to exploit a system with traps, at least in this scenario, we cannot succeed because it is stopped by one of the modules in the exploit profile. I want to go here, and for this machine, disable exploit modules. This profile that I created I will show you in a second, is actually on disable mode. You can create different type of profiles for your group of machines. You see the action is disabled. For this action is disabled. It's disabled. I created this in advance, like before the Zoom. And here you can assign the profile you create to certain group of machines or one endpoint. It depends. I assigned this, and the others you see, they are still default. Okay, what do I do? Well, first of all, I am not connected to any sessions. And do I have sessions active? No. Well, with the Defender machine, actually, I don't have anything further, but I want to further test this machine. I want to do a check-in. After the check-in, we see that anti-exploit protection is off right now. I'm waiting for the check-in to finish. Okay. You can also go through the events and see the events here, right? Okay. So I open Firefox again to log in my. Yeah, Firefox has this thing that when it is closed uh, suddenly. Well, Internet Explorer also has that, but um, it just tries to reload all the pages. But for this one, it wasn't necessary, so I close it because I want to start from the beginning, the test. I have this email. I'm gonna open the page. You want to allow installing the add-on. It's here. You go and install now. Okay, let's see what's going on. Yeah, there is a session 3 that is there that we can see. I want to connect to this one. Okay. Now we are there, which means we could exploit the system. Why? Because the anti-exploit module protection is off. I want to do the same test I did on the other machine. Yes. This is to show you might actually disable one module, but the protection is not completely off. I am in the system, yes, because through the anti-exploit module, well, the session is allowed, but just because the attacker is in your system, it doesn't mean that they can go further. I am as an attacker. This is what I did on the Defender machine. I want to create a shell so I can run commands on the remote system. Trap say no. Says no, you cannot. You cannot actually do it because child process protection is not going to allow you to do it. I come back to my TMS, security events, and it says, oh yeah, there was a suspicious process creation, and you can see the details here. It basically shows you that Firefox is trying to create a child process CMD exe. What's going to happen next? Well, you say okay as the end user. You come back and you see that, okay, this failed. You couldn't You couldn't actually run the shell. Okay, I don't want to run shell. I have an executable, malware executable, and I want to upload it to the remote machine. I will use this one. So what I do is I want to upload it on the remote machine to desktop. And I go to this folder, and then I upload, well, it must be possible to copy the path. Okay. I'm here. Well, it actually warns you about updating your Firefox, but as an end user, you don't have the admin privileges to update anything. So under normal circumstances, it's not possible. Yes, we see the executable here. Well, I uploaded the executable, okay, and it tells you you did. I want to run it. Then I say, okay, execute. Okay. Yes, we try to run this executable that we copied here on the system, and it is blocked by traps. By which component? Wildfire. Wildfire says that it is malware, so it is blocked. Then it is terminated, so we cannot really run the executable. What you can do, you can download an executable from Wildfire site, these test PE files. Every time you run these executables, there is a new hash, so it is always at first it is unknown. These PE files are actually to test the Wildfire mechanism if it works on your environment. Like on a machine with traps, you run this test PE file. If this file gets the verdict from Wildfire, then the Wildfire connection is actually successfully done in your ESM environment. But at first, just because it's unknown, a local analysis verdict will be given by traps. To test this module, this component, you can download these PE files. This is, I believe, yeah, this is the link that you can run, you can download and run uh, files. Okay, that's basically it. We see that exploit protection and malware protection both works when you have traps on a machine. Well, we used Windows Defender for our demo with the machine that has Windows Defender. Well, we could exploit the system. After you can exploit the system, you can basically do anything. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. Please contact me for any questions. We can do this demo actually in a more detailed way. We can check um, like this whole thing further. We can play with the policies. We can create this demo, this test on your environment, on test machines. Yeah, for your questions and for further information, please contact SecureLink or directly with me or Harm. Thank you so much for your time.